you like summoning birds just because you can, like a million of them? How about turning people to stone like your Medusa? I just smacked my microphone. Oh boy, do I got a build for you. The one Oscelda build to rule them all. Or well, like, you know, one build that's pretty good, and like other builds are good too. So like, Hi there! So we're jumping right into it. We're using an extreme grace prism, and that's all there is to it. Crab, what about like the weapons, or explaining Oscelda, or like... Alright. Oscelda. This is a great pact for survivability, and that's usually what people notice when they choose it or craft it. You know, for its second ability, Elder Bloom, the big healing flower. Well, let me tell you this, Oscelda can also deal a lot of damage. Its first ability, Bestown, petrifies multiple enemies for a good chunk of time, and has a damage multiplier stacked on top of it. What does this mean? Well, if you bestown an enemy and hit them, you do extra damage. But if you bestown an enemy while they're unalerted, run up on them and aim for a headshot with a perfect throw or a fully charged bow, you're now stacking 2 more multipliers, which both scale with grace, by the way. Now, if you already see where I'm going with this kind of, sorta already, unbelievably, grace actually does much more for Oscelda. You see, the Pact's third ability is birds, a flock of birds, lots of birds. Either way, the stagger these birds deal scales quite heavily with grace as well. So if you want to stagger a boss with 1 cast and a couple hits of your weapon, well, there you go. And if you're fast enough, you'll get the ever elusive double stagger, double finisher with 1 cast. So now that we know what we're playing for, how are we going to build it? Well, let's start with the Pact upgrade tree first. You can kind of do whatever you want. I switch them up almost every play session, and if you have the wild version of Oscelda, then this doesn't even matter. Regardless, I always take Sympathy and Healer for the extra healing, and then Tendrils to root enemies when they so much as look at me. Another good option is always taking Vernal Pool, because even though there might not be a lot of water around, for some bosses there are, so being able to get your abilities back really fast is really nice. Otherwise, just do as you please. So now let's get into weapons, totems, and runes. As always, my beloved Preludes make a return with 10% smite chance, and with it, the same totem, the messenger, as always providing even more additional smite chance. As for the other totems and the rune itself, go wild. Now, for our main hand, you have 3 options, but one is cooler than the others. You can either use Ignemora, or Tessert, or Dwellion. Considering the grind for Dwellion, I prefer using it. Also because it scales best with Grace, it's a Grace weapon. The other 2 are split scaling for Spirit and Courage. But our rune shall be the most interesting of choices, for you see, Miss Gale is genuinely viable here. But Crab, Miss Gale is kind of mid. And you're right, but in this scenario, it's not. Miss Gale is basically a guaranteed 200 extra damage and additional stagger, which is the most important part. So if a boss doesn't evaporate against your birds and your finishers, wailing on it with what is essentially 2 swords will. It speeds up the process for damage, and it also speeds up the process for staggering. And while yes, the Everflame room can provide more damage than that, it doesn't give us 2 utility slots. For why, you may ask? Because I have become a firm believer in the cooldown reduction totems. Want to cast birds twice? Go ahead. Use your healing flower, and you need it again in a pinch? There's a totem for that. And the courage one? It's been kind of hit or miss. But you can switch it up for the resolute totem, which reduces armor on smited enemies. Now, you can do even more finisher damage to a boss, but find what you like best. Most bosses will disappear in an instant anyway, even if you get to equip any totems. I've done it plenty of times. But here's some other good options that you can use. They'll just fit into the playstyle a little differently, but it'll enhance it regardless. So we have our Prism, our Pact, the upgrades and abilities we're focusing on, and our weapons. What about the playstyle? Well, I alluded to it earlier. You'll want to sneak around, bestow an enemy, run up on them, and then do a perfect throw at their head. Bunny number achieved. But there is a caveat. This doesn't work too well against bosses. I've noticed that it seems to cap out around 1.6k damage, and that's where the birds come in. You can bestow a boss, hit them in the head, throw out your birds, get a quick stagger, and then finish them all in one go. You can even ignore the bestown aspects with the Preludes. You would initiate by orbiting your blades first, throwing out your birds second, running up on the boss, and with the birds, plus full smite, plus orbiting blades, plus miscale, you'll stagger them just as fast to get the kill. How I play is basically bestown for ads, birds for bosses, and I've had no trouble with this build going up to level 100 in cogah and even higher. It's that consistent. The healing also helps. Either way, that's the whole build. Enjoy!